All right, welcome into another episode of For Your Health, the podcast sponsored by Roane General Hospital. I am your host, as always. I should just say I'm your humble host, Andrew Miller, and we are going to be talking about metabolism today in a certain form, specifically metabolic syndrome. What is it? What are the causes? How do you fix it? Is there a fix for it? Do I have it? There's all sorts of questions that I have to ask, and of course, I don't know any of this stuff, so we brought in an expert. Sitting across from me is Dr. Grant Parkins, family medicine doctor here at Roane General Hospital. Dr. Parkins, thank you, number one, for taking time out of your day. We were joking before we came on the air here with Jeff Tanner. He said, this will be the easiest part of your day, right?
Well, I hope so. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into the heart of what we want to talk about here, I want to take it back for you. Where did medicine and where did becoming a doctor come into the fold for you as you were growing up? When did you decide you wanted to become a doctor? What type of medicine do you want to, or what type of medicine did you want to practice? Is that what you're practicing? Just give us kind of that 30,000-foot look at the history of Dr. Grant Parkins getting here to Roane General.
Wow. Well, I was actually born in this hospital in 1973, so I started here. And when I decided to, when I was in college, I got a chemistry degree, and I decided, I don't want to be in a lab all day. I'm going to have to figure out something else to do. And medicine was a good field to go into at that time. I knew I could work anywhere. I knew I always wanted to come back here, to Spencer, have a farm. So
you just knew you had to figure out a way to pay for it?
Yeah, exactly. And primary care, you can work anywhere. If I change my mind, I want to move to Alaska, I can always get a job anywhere. So that's why I picked primary care.
So you were obviously, you were obviously of a scientific mind, growing up, and you decided you wanted to get into medicine. You decided family medicine. So where did you train? Where did you go to school, residency, all that stuff that you have to do to become an actual doctor? And I know it's a long, grueling process.
Yeah, it's a haul. I got my bachelor's in chemistry at West Virginia State College. It's West Virginia State University now.
They've all changed.
Institute. I did medical school in Greenbrier County in Lewisburg. Went to the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine, and then I went to CAMC for my through WVU's family medicine program. So, 4 years of college, 4 years of med school, and 3 years of residency. So
it takes a long time for that investment.
It's a minimum of 11 years.
And so you finish all that stuff, and did you just come back immediately to Roane County to actually start, or did you navigate your way back here?
No, I spent initially out of residency. I worked for Thomas Hospital for 2 years, and before I decided to come back and build a log home here and buy some land, have some kids.
So do you have a farm?
I did. I sold it. I'm back in a log home now. I did get back into a log home, and it's across the road from my old farm.
Well, that counts.
Dr. Gessel owns my old farm, so he lets me come over.
All the excitement of seeing the land with none of the work that you have to do to
exactly.
keep
he can
it.
Take care of it.
Okay, so metabolic syndrome is obviously, when I hear syndrome, I think, okay, this is something that is not good for people, obviously. And then I read down some of these questions that we're going to talk about, and obviously there are problems with metabolic syndrome. First off, what is metabolic syndrome? Because when I read up on this, we're talking about a cluster of conditions that could occur together, like comorbidities that can increase your risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes. These are all bad things, obviously.
Right. Yeah, metabolic syndrome is actually a group of risk factors that when you have more of them present, you have more risk of developing diabetes, heart disease, stroke.
And what are risk factors for this stuff? But what are these contributing factors for somebody that ends up with this metabolic syndrome? Is metabolic syndrome an actual diagnosis?
Yes. If you have 3 of the 5 conditions, risk factors present, we call it metabolic syndrome. They have the diagnosis of metabolic syndrome in the chart.
So let's talk about metabolic syndrome risk factors. What are we talking about? When I think of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, I could probably guess some of these, but let's go into detail with some of these risk factors that cause this.
Okay. Well, two of them you can measure on your body. You can do it at home. We do it in the doctor's office. The first one, usually we do the blood pressure first. If your blood pressure is over 130 over 85, so if it's 130 or higher on top or 85 or higher on the bottom, that's one of the risk factors. Or if you're on blood pressure medication already, then you've already hit that box.
You already know that that's a risk factor for if you deal with high blood pressure, which
Right.
when we've been talking, obviously, throughout these podcasts, we've talked with many people, and we hear high blood pressure is a major issue in our area, and it's caused by numerous things. High blood pressure is something that I think is a very common risk factor that causes all sorts of problems. But that's just one of them, obviously. So, and again, as you said, that's one that's testable at home. People can just do that.
The other one's really easy too. It's your waist circumference.
Yikes! Ow, we're gonna get into detail here.
So, if your waistline, so it's different for men and women. If you're a man and your waist is 40 inches or bigger, if you're a woman whose waist is 35 inches or bigger, that's a risk factor. Now, that measurement is not your Relax Fit Walmart pants. That's at your belly button for most people. It's between your bottom rib and your hip. But most people, that's at their belly button. So we measure that.
Man, you just ruined my life there because I just went to Walmart and picked up some 34s. And I was like, wait a minute, those were stretchy 34s, Dr. Parkins. So I'm probably closer to a 38, maybe. I don't know. I'm working on it. All right. I'm working on that metabolic risk factor. How about that?
Oh, me too. Since I'm over as well. And as soon as we started researching this, I realized I was way higher than my Walmart Relax Fit Wranglers.
Well, I tell you what, I have seen you in the gym. So that's a good thing.
I'm trying.
That means we're both going at it. So high blood pressure right away, and that's something that's very common people to test for. And then, of course, that waist circumference. Those are two that are very easy, as you said, to test. So what are some of the other ones? You said a third, and then 3 of 5. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so the other 3 we have to do blood work for. And it has to be fasting blood work. Nothing to eat or drink. Usually after midnight, that gives us an 8-hour fast. You can have black coffee or water, but you can't have cream or sugar or any of that stuff. So we want fasting blood work. And the first is we get a fasting glucose level. Your glucose should be under 100. If your glucose is 100 or above, that's another risk factor. Between 100 and 125 is prediabetes, and then if you hit 126, we consider that diabetes.
Right there, it is. And so that's a big one, but that's blood work.
There's 2 more labs. So you got the other 2 are your cholesterol. We do triglycerides. So if your triglycerides are 150 or above, that's another risk factor. And then your good cholesterol is your HDL. If your good cholesterol is lower, and it's different for men and women again. Women, if it's below 50, that's a risk factor. Men, if it's below 40, that's considered that's the 5th risk factor. Now, women are supposed to have higher HDL because estrogen raises it up. So that's probably one of the reasons they live 5 years longer on average than men. That's one of the reasons.
There's a good joke in there, but I'm not going to tell that joke of to why women live longer. So the the HDL is the good. It's what the LDL is the other one.
Yeah, LDL is the bad cholesterol, but we don't use this in the calculation for metabolic syndrome in our current definition.
So how is metabolic syndrome diagnosed? Is it just simply based off those factors?
Yeah, so if you have 3 of those 5, that's metabolic syndrome. We know if you just have one of those risk factors, your risk increases. And as you add more of those, you have increased risk in a linear fashion. So once you get to 3 out of 5, that's metabolic syndrome. But if you have 5 out of 5, those are people we really need to start intervening on.
You mentioned, of course, waist circumference is one of those things that you can test for immediately. Is metabolic syndrome, is it only something that you look at in obesity, or are there people who are not obese that may have this situation? What is that like?
Yeah, so that's a good question. You actually can have metabolic syndrome and not be obese. That's the we call those the skinny fat. There are those people out there, but certainly your risk is a lot higher if you are obese.
Our producer is shaking his head, yes and no. I bet you he's got that going. And so, if somebody finds out, let me go back before I say if somebody finds out. Let's go to the treatments. So somebody comes to you, and is this something that you test for in a basic? Like if somebody just comes to you for a checkup, is this part of like the diagnostics that you guys do with them? It's like, we're going to test for metabolic syndrome, or is that something that has to be requested, or is that something you as a doctor say, hey, we might want to test for this?
Before, we weren't checking for this routinely. We started a new program here, the Prescription for Your Health, and we're trying to start putting people in charge of their own health care and help them get healthier.
Is this something that you would normally, the question is this something you would see in other hospitals, or is this specific to the fact that this Prescription for Your Health program includes the family doctors?
Yeah, I don't think you'll see it very many other places. This is kind of cutting edge. I mean, certainly there are places that do this. Functional medicine is a pretty common thing you'll see out there, like Cleveland Clinic will do a functional medicine clinic where they try to get people healthier and remove barriers to.
But I think in a small rural town, or I shouldn't say small rural town, with our communities that are utilizing the services here, just a quick snapshot look, and it doesn't seem like it's very difficult to test for that stuff, other than the blood work, obviously. But blood work seems to be rather common.
Yeah, we do that blood work pretty routinely for annual physicals. We weren't really focusing in on metabolic syndrome before. We're trying to focus more on it now because our population is getting more unhealthy. We spend so much money on healthcare. In this country, we're averaging $14,000 per person per year, right. And our health is just getting worse. And part of that's driven by the obesity. Our obesity rate in West Virginia is 41%. We lead the nation.
And Roane County is
probably a little higher than average.
At the lower end of that. Well, we've talked about that, Dr. Parkins, numerous times with many people here. The numbers are what they are at the moment. And so adding this to promoting this as a family doctor when you see your clients, your patients, promoting this and getting people involved in Prescription for Your Health is like a baseline starter for many of the people who are maybe not understanding that they have the Prescription for Your Health, but that is one way that people can get involved in Prescription for Your Health is through you guys. In fact, family doctors are a very important part of this in that you guys can actually write scripts for this, right? You guys can actually send people down to Prescription for Your Health, or you can suggest it.
Yeah, and that's been really great. They can come to the gym, and they don't get charged. It's included. They can get their lab work done. The lab work we need to test for, they can do that yearly with no charge. So it's a great program.
So somebody is diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. You've given them some suggestions, hey, get involved in the Prescription for Your Health program. There are many ways that you can help alleviate some of this. Number one, again, as you said, the waist size. Number one, that can be alleviated by getting into the program because not only do you have access to the wellness center, you also have access to the classes. You also have access to dietary and nutritionists and nutrition classes. And so that's one way to get them on board. But what are some of the other treatments for metabolic syndrome? Again, when you talked about those risk factors, there's multiple ways to address multiple risk factors. When it comes to treatment for metabolic syndrome, where do you start with people?
The biggest thing is lifestyle changes. Every one of the risk factors that we talked about is reversible, every single one of them. So the biggest thing is changes in lifestyle. The diet is the most important, I think.
It's the most miserable for people to change.
Yeah. What's different between now and 100 years ago? It's our food.
Yeah, 100%.
We got to clean up our diet, unfortunately, myself included.
Yeah, he's not yelling at you all.
Yeah.
We're all in this together, folks.
You look at what's happened since the Industrial Revolution. We all have TVs. We all have ultra processed, high starch, high sugary foods. We sit around a lot more on the computer. We're more stressed. We don't get outside. We don't get enough sleep. All those things can affect metabolic syndrome.
And those are things that you see on a daily basis, obviously, with your patients. The numbers are what they are, and you see it on the front line each and every day with some people. But again, you and Roane General Hospital are all trying to fight a really daunting fight here. You guys are really going hard at something that I think that people have generationally, I guess, in our area just kind of built that up as this is just their lives. And so you're fighting this on a daily basis anyway.
Yeah, we're trying to empower people to live healthier lives. I think a lot of times people don't realize what's happening, and we try to point it out and educate them, give them the tools that they need to take charge of their own health care. I mean, we can help you, we can consult with you, but you're really the CEO of your own health. And people need to learn what's going on and take charge.
Sometimes you got to say the hard truths to them, don't you? That's never an easy conversation, is it? Having to explain this stuff to people.
No, I hear it all the time, and I really don't eat that much, and but it's what we're eating. Food is not just the energy; it's the recipe to turn on certain genes, turn off other genes. Eating whole foods, healthy foods, can really make a difference in your satisfaction and being full, and not just being hungry again in an hour and ended up eating too many calories.
And again, that's where the nutrition aspect of the prescription for your health is such an important part. And we just did a podcast recently talking about the food is, what is it?
Food is medicine.
Food is medicine.
Yeah.
And the aha moments were so many in the first few classes. They were talking about people didn't really understand how many calories things were, how much fat was in certain things. They just didn't know what they truly were imbibing into their bodies. And there were so many of those. Oh my goodness, I never thought of this, or I didn't get it. And so just getting that education to people is such an important part. And so with this metabolic syndrome diagnoses, it's just another way for you all on the front line to be like, hey guys, you have 3 of these 5 risk factors, and 3 of these 5 risk factors can very easily, maybe not quickly, but they can be reversed simply by doing this, this, and this, and doing it consistently. Loaded question, Dr. Parkins. You said all these risk factors of these 5 are reversible. I assume that also means that it's preventable. You cannot get metabolic syndrome. Is that something that is also preventable with that same sort of lifestyle?
Yeah, I think you can definitely put it off. I mean, sure, your risk does increase as we age. We lose muscle mass. We become more sedentary. It definitely increases the chances of it happening.
Yeah, so it's all about the knowledge and consistency and utilizing, obviously, every avenue in this crazy world that we're in right now, and in the lifestyles that people live. People are always talking about they're so busy all the time. So as you said, though, you're the CEO of your own body, so you have to prioritize trying to learn what healthy food is. And what I have found, just as a personal aside, what I have found is, man, you can really eat some good stuff that is not bad for you. You can figure it out. There are ways to do this. You just have to go ask some questions about that stuff. There are ways, if you don't have 30 minutes in a row in the day to get whatever you want to call it, whether it be a walk-in or go to the gym. If you don't have time to get into the gym, there are things that you can do. It's just you have to learn to prioritize that stuff. have to prioritize ways of having the right foods in your lifestyle, getting micro exercises that Jeff Tanner has told us about during the workday. And you're a doctor. It's not easy. You're busy, but you have to find that time. That's, again, it's hard as a doctor. You can tell everybody until you're blue in the face what you need to do, but you can't make them open the door to do it. You can just suggest it, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, my knees are bad. I can't exercise, so I'm just stuck in this condition. But you're right. The diet is the most important thing. And, all of our foods that are ultra processed, I mean, they just stick right to you and you're hungry again in an hour or two.
Yeah, I have found that if I stay on the outside of the aisles at the grocery store, that's probably better off for me. If I don't go into each aisle, I'm going to stay away from a lot of that processed food. And again, that's what a lot of people will say when you come here to get involved in the Prescription for Your Health program. So if somebody is out there and let's say they are already a patient of yours, again, you see families, so you may not see just one person in the family. This is where you have an opportunity not only to help get the knowledge out to a single person, but you can try to get that person to filter that into their entire family structure. So by process of helping one person, you can be like, hey, take this to the family members as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this, one of the risk factors for this is the genetic predisposition. I mean, if you have a family member with diabetes, you are more likely to get diabetes yourself and metabolic syndrome as well.
So if somebody wants to come see you, how do they get in touch with you? And if somebody is already a patient of yours and they're like, well, he didn't tell me about metabolic syndrome, they can come ask you next time. So how can somebody get a hold of you? Are you taking appointments? All that good stuff.
Yeah, we're taking new patients. This is a new push. We haven't been doing the metabolic syndrome thing for very long, but it's something that we've adapted and we're trying to get it out there.
And it's a good thing, obviously, because you have the Prescription for Your Health program down here. It's obviously important to, Doug and the rest of them that their physicians are sending people this way because Roane General Hospital is truly trying to attack a bad set of numbers in a county that is in a bad state, in a nation that is already obese. And so I make fun of it, but trying to cut off your nose to spite your face. You're trying to get your people, your patients well before you have to attack other problems and have to be preventative at that point. Or I should say reactive. You're trying to be preventative before reactive. That's kind of a new thing. Or not a new thing, but it's kind of an aggressive thing that you guys are trying to do, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. This, before we would just practice reactive medicine. We'd wait till somebody was sick or diseased and then just treat that problem with each problem would have its own medication. Now we're trying to prevent all this stuff from happening. We're trying to give people the knowledge of what they need to do to live healthier lives and just avoid these diseases.
Yeah. Well, where are you located, Dr. Parkins?
I'm at RGMA. I'm past the main hospital, beside the Brannans where the old walk-in was.
Sent you all the way to the backside there, didn't
I got kicked out.
It's all right. If anybody wants to get over there, just go to RGMA and you can start your process there and ask Dr. Parkins about metabolic syndrome. Be happy to give you some of those quick tests that you can do. You can get some blood work, get into the Prescription for Your Health program. Take that first step, as you said, and I loved what you said there. You are the CEO of your own body. I've done a lot of these podcasts, and that is a great analogy that I have not heard yet. You can lead people to the water. You cannot make them drink. They are the ones who have to make that decision, that first step. And maybe looking at metabolic syndrome and maybe seeing these risk factors and then showing them what is possible when those risk factors come into play will help people understand that it's time to take hold of your own health. I think that's something that it's not an easy task, but you guys are not in this because it's easy, I don't think, right?
Yeah, that's our goal. Try to get our population healthier.
Absolutely. Dr. Grant Parkins, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy. At least you're not running a farm right now, and I'm sure I will see you in the gym soon.
Thank you.
Dr. Grant Parkins, folks, thank you very much.